there, boy. What's going on, my lovers? That's so funny. I was like, you're just trying to chew it up. You know, you nearly choke. All right, don't ever do that on stage. MCs, forget the bubble gum, chewing gum, sweets and all that. Don't get carried away. You know, I didn't tell you a lot about this, yeah, but when I was in France, you know, the last time where I only got to do like 15 minutes or whatever, I made the mistake of quickly like trying to get a swig of this alcohol. I didn't know what it was. It was just brown liquor. I didn't realize it was whiskey. It was some like high class whiskey, bruv. When I went to swallow, it was like, it just burned. And I couldn't, like my first 6 bars or something, I couldn't rap them. I was meant to come in straight away. Yo, by the way, welcome back, mother lovers. This is some you might not never know nothing about. That's right, something you might not never know nothing about. I'm your host right now, MysDiggi. I'm here with my co-host, Dan DNA, controlling the boards, doing the octopus thing, you know what I mean? Hands all over the buttons and that, and making it happen. Welcome back, mother lovers. It's been a minute. I think we had a couple weeks off, didn't we? Or was it 1 week off?
I think 1 week.
Yeah, because
I think so.
We had some things going on.
Yeah.
That was it. Our guest was a bit ill, but hopefully next week we should be having him in.
Oh, was it 2 weeks then?
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks. Yeah. I think it was 2 weeks. Yeah. We do apologize for that, but you know, we always want to come back with some quality when we do take some time off. You know, we've been messing around.
Yeah.
I've got some, you know what I mean? Someone to tell you something you might never know nothing about. We want to give a shout out to everyone in the comment section so far, the common senses. Shout out to Alexander Morrison, big up Black Einstein, hold tight Alan Stephen. See, you wanted me to stay Stephen, but nah, man. I know what I'm dealing with here now. All you PHs and you V words out there. Shout out to you more. Big up Black Einstein in the building. Yes, all the crew locked in. Nice one, JM. What's going on, man? Good to see you lot, man. It's always good to be back. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. I ain't gonna lie. I've had some time off. So it's always crazy when I got time off. Catching up with people. You know what I mean? Trying to get more music done as well. I'm very excited about what's coming, D.
Yeah. You got good stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah. Shout out to Pitch 92, man. We got some fire, but
well, I think you gave too much away already.
Nah. It's a lot of fun, man. So yeah, man, good time off. I'm gonna be back out there again now, gigging with Smokey Joe and the kid. So you know what I mean, getting myself prepped for that. Big up to all the crew that have been coming through to the shows, man. It's been nuts out there. And you know, we got to hit you with a good one tonight. Before I do that, though, before we get into that, let me shout out the CMOS boss. Ladies and gents, you know we do our best up here to promote well-being, you know what I mean? Health, having a good life. And I think if you don't have sea vegetables in your life, especially CMOS, but there's a whole load of other sea vegetables available from the cmosboss.co.uk. And you know, it's because of the amount of nutrients in these foods. When I'm talking about Irish moss, you can get Irish moss gel, so it's already made up for you. All you got to do is take 1 or 2 scoops, put in some water or whatever. You can even just straight off the teaspoon or tablespoon, if you know what I mean, if your mouth is wide enough. Some people got that jaw thing, you know, apparently it's to do with how when we grew up, we weren't eating the right food. So, you know, your jaw, you get the overbite. When they got the lower jaw's a bit smaller, yeah.
Oh, mine's bigger. Yeah,
yours is bigger.
Mine goes.
Oh, wow.
My bottom
So
teeth come
right
ahead
then.
of my top teeth. Yeah.
You're raw carrot all day. You're just going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people can't do that. They can't.
They have the
They got the
overbite.
overbite, yeah. So, you know, so, you know what I mean?
Poor people.
But yo, trust, regardless, when it comes to skin, bones, joints,
Yeah, CMOS will sort it
eyes,
out.
hair, everything, man. CMOS, like, yeah, you noticed that, right? Dan, aka Dandolf, by the way. You know what I mean? Cool, like,
Do you see any snow on these shoulders?
There's no dandruff. Dandruff is dead. It's all about Dandolf. But yeah, man. So, you know, packed with all types of vitamins and minerals. You should definitely do your research on it. But these guys have made sure that their stuff is 100% organic. It's wildcrafted as well. So that means that it's not being babied. It's learning how to live on its own, you know what I mean, and survive and then getting plucked. You know, I said plucked, by the way, because we're not in watershed yet. But yeah, man, and available for everybody, man, to enjoy. Also an independent, you know what I mean, business right here, and it's very important that we support the independent businesses, especially now. You know what I mean? With all this like trying to shut them down. We can't let that happen, especially with this. So you can get all types of stuff: Wakami, Bladderwrack, Spirulina, Dose. Please like do as much as you can to find out what the benefits are. But if you want to get 20% discount, you go to the cmosboss.co.uk on any of your orders. 20% discount. Once you get to the checkout, make sure you put in about 20. That's in all uppercase. About 20, and you get yourself 20% off any order from the cmosboss.co.uk. Shout out to Richie and Terrain. Yes, man.
Yes.
You know we love what you do. Apparently they got some new. There might be some new thing coming out. What is it like a? It's like a for bathing, for bathing, and you put a pouch seaweed and put it in, do what it's doing, and then like when you go in the sea, you have that swim, and then your skin just feels like vibrant, and it's like, yo, what's going on here? I'm all glowing. Yeah, it's kind of got that effect. So yeah, man, look out for that, mother lovers. Jeez, yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight, man. It's always good to catch up with different people. Like, I'm sure if anyone caught the show we had where we were speaking to Theo, Chaos Crew, DJ Sammy J, it was interesting. Like we love talking about obviously the music and whatnot, and especially like the UK hip hop scene, because it's so, I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people think it's very close knit and everyone, and there might have been a time where there were pockets of the country that are like that, you know what I mean? But all in all, it's like, nah, people just do tracks with each other. They might not even see each other in the, do the tracks. But, there's a scene there, but it's like from the outside looking in, it must look a lot different. And it was, and even from the inside, you know what I mean? Like speaking to them lot, it was interesting hearing different stories, especially about the Chaos Crew coming up and who they've been working with and whatnot.
Yeah.
So for us, this stuff is really enjoyable. It's definitely a part of why we started doing this podcast. It's like, so we can all communicate more on a level that we might not have done before. We find out stuff that we might not never have known about each other. Do you know what I mean?
For us as well, yeah.
And so this, like, getting on the guest that we're getting on tonight, for us is interesting because we're in the scene, and it's like I was saying, earlier that for me, getting responses from people outside of the country was even more of a like, wow, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? You're doing something right if people that don't even really hear your voice that often are like, yo, this is hip hop right here. This is, and whether it be from people in Australia, Denmark, or, you know what I mean? Like the Mecca, you know what I mean? But hearing and seeing videos from this guy, it just really takes me back to that energy of like, hearing something new. And hearing, it's like, yo, this guy's got bars. Like, let me rewind. Did you hear what he said? All of that stuff, man. I really get that energy from watching his videos, man. So, yo, without further ado, let's introduce, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see some fire emojis up in there, the common sensors, the Canadian dad mother lovers. We're welcoming him in right now. Yo, what's the... We got the... There you go. There you go. Yeah. All right, that's enough. That's enough, man. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Thanks for having me on.
Yo, appreciate you coming on, brother. Definitely, man. Yes. So let's get into it, man, because like I was saying, for us, it's an honor, man. It really is an honor because a lot of people, try their damnedest to make quality music. They get it out there, and then it just feels like on your doorstep, there's not as much love as there is, in other countries, other territories and whatnot. And so it's always a pleasure, to see that you appreciate like the UK music, like the stuff that we're doing out here, especially being that you're from Canada where there's a lot of quality music out there anyway. So we know, you know what I mean? We know, all right, this guy listens to stuff, man. But one of the first questions I wanted to ask, man, was, what was your introduction to the UK hip hop scene? Did someone pass you a tune and you're like, oh, okay, or did you know about this stuff from way back anyway?
I knew through my buddy Vinny. He's a huge UK hip hop fan. Ever since we were a kid, we're in a group together, and he always tried to get us to listen. Back then, he was always talking about jazz. And even further now that we're adults, he kept trying to get me and our other friend Corey trying to get us interested. But we're both kind of in our own head. We have our own thing that we like. And it just, neither one of us had any kind of interest in hearing it. And
what year was this?
Sadly, like he's always been pushing it all the time, talking about how great it is. And to be completely honest, I mean, by the time I reached probably my 30s, I had kind of lost interest in a lot of the music because I felt like it had gone in the wrong direction. So I was pretty much listening to 3 or 4 artists or listening only to 90s hip hop. That's all I would listen to. Became big fans of Run the Jewels because that kind of felt like that true, staying true to the music type of music.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until COVID happened that we're stuck in our houses. I needed the creative outlet. I consider myself a creative guy, but I couldn't write, couldn't paint, and couldn't go out of the house. And I needed something other than just sitting on my ass watching television or playing video games or reading. So I went upstairs. I said to my then fiance and our 2 daughters, I said, you know, what do you think about Dad making a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, it's great. You should react to hip hop music. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do UK hip hop. Kind of as I didn't think it'd be more than a couple of videos before somebody told me to piss off. And I put it on. The very first track was Honor Codes from the 4 Owls, and that was it. I was hooked, man. They had me hook, line, and sinker.
Wow. That's crazy, man. So what was it that made you say I'm gonna do UK hip hop? Like, because, you know, like you said, you weren't really interested when your friend was trying to get you into it. Did you think like, I'll have fun with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think because for me it was, like I said, I got disinterested in what I was hearing. It seemed like everything I heard from not everything. Like there were some artists that really stuck out to me. Like I love Hobson. Was another one of those guys. But I kind of felt like everything that was popular already had a dozen people. Like the minute that a new track drops from a famous artist in the US, everybody goes to No Life Shack to get his reaction to it. And then there's 40 other reactions to the same song. And they're all trying to put their own, I guess, stamp on it, but it's all the same track. So I thought, you know what, I'll give UK hip hop a chance and maybe it'll be something I enjoy and it'd be interesting to get an honest reaction to it rather than something that's been done.
Yeah.
And then when I did it, and then I realized by a quick search that they just aren't getting the views, right? In terms of, a track in the UK that I was noticing back then that get a lot of views, you're lucky to get 3,500 views, right? But that's like a lot of views for a mid-level track.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference between that and a UK or a US artist who, you know, gets 100,000 views in the first 10 minutes that it drops, right? So that's kind of, I guess, the route that I went down because of that.
And so and you know what's really cool about that is that obviously you knew that you were like, look, okay, these are the type of views that these guys get, but this is what I want to review. Like, instead of, you know, there's something you could have gone, oh, I'm gonna review K-pop, or you know what I mean? Like you could have decided to go that sort of route. But yeah, it's really interesting that you chose UK hip hop. And so, okay, so the 4 Hours was sort of the first thing you heard that you're like, okay, I want to dig more now. If they got stuff like this out there, I need to find out more. What was your introduction to hip hop in general? Like, obviously, I'm guessing growing up.
Well, the very first hip hop song I ever heard was Kumo D, Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And until that time I heard that, I was like heavy into metal, man. I had the concert t-shirts. I had a little bit longer hair.
Yeah.
That's all I listened to. At my cousin's house, he was at school. It was a spring break, and I was there a day early. And I was left alone in the house, and I'd never heard of Rap City on a thing called Much Music, which is, I don't know, it's like MTV in America.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and then I heard that whistle, saw the Cowboys coming, and I'm like, what is this shit? But hey, at that point, after I heard them, I was like, this is it, man. This is it for me.
Wow.
And from that point on, 1987 forward, it's been all, man. And growing up, my favorite group was Digital Underground.
Oh shit.
That was my style.
Yeah.
All about them. And then and then I guess as it progressed, that's where I got older, have a kid, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the music didn't mature with me, I guess. Either the guys I really liked stopped making music, and the new guys were, I guess, kind of picked up where they feel is the popular. Like I'm 48 years old. I'm not interested in listening about drugs and bitches and cars and people posing outside of cars they don't own.
Yeah.
Talking about talking about stuff that I have no connection with.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of fell away a little bit, and then I kind of feel like UK hip hop has been. I feel like I'm 13 again. Is the best way to explain it.
Wow.
Every time I put on a track, I feel like I'm a kid, man. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I fall right back into that days. So.
It's beautiful to see, man. I'm telling you, it is, because it just gives you that, like I said, man, on your doorstep, people are like, hey, you're right. They ain't got a clue what you do, but then seeing people as passionate as yourself, like you said, it brings that inner youth where you really enjoy listening to the music. You enjoy being, I was watching one where you were reviewing Stig. I've forgotten, it's set like 64 bars or something like that. But it was just really like, wow, you were saying about you'd never really, you've heard him on one track before, but never really heard him on a joint by himself. And to hear it now, you're like, yo, this guy, and it was just like, wow, that's the amount of shit that goes over people's heads, like listening to someone like Stig. You know what I mean? But then, so were you on the creative side of things, like growing up, or did you write with DJing or?
I still write. I used to write when I started off drawing comic books when I was younger. Then I started getting into writing, and I still write. I have some. I like the horror side. I've got some published stories that have been in anthologies and stuff. Continue to write. I'm working on a novel now. But growing up, I was in a rap group. I was the DJ, and that was. I used to do it all by tape. Like make the beats and stuff all.
Oh shit!
Doing it by tape, taking tape and cutting it up and stuff.
Wait.
But even
hold on. You can't just swing past that. Like, these are the things that we need people to hear. Yeah. You were talking about producing, but on a tape, on like TDK type tape.
I mean, I had 2 tape decks, and I would take parts of it. I mean, it sounded like hell. I mean, it was horrible, but I would take parts of other hip hop songs, put them together the best I could, where the long sections, breaks that I could take and mix it together. Sometimes the samples or the edits were horrible, and some of the lyrics got in and stuff. But I mean, it's what I had to use. I didn't have any. My dad died when I was young. My mom had a single mom. I didn't have the money to be going and buying decks or anything like that, so I used what I could.
That's hip hop, right?
I came up with whatever I could.
Yeah, jeez. And so the cutting up the tapes thing. So you got to use like sellotape and.
Yeah, this tape. Yeah, this Scotch tape and stuff. And, when I could, I would just record from one tape to another tape, and I mean, it was awful. I wish I had them now to hear how awful it really was. But back then, I was like, back then we're young, and to us it was fire, right? That's all that mattered. And there was nobody else doing it, right? Like we lived in a small blue collar town. It was all heavy metal and classic rock. They were very, we'd go to the record store, and the rap section, was like a couple of rows of tapes, like, and anything you wanted, you had to order it because it was all, no one wanted it. So everything was you had to order it and it was extra money.
Wow.
So we were in it early before it became popular over here.
When did it start blowing up in terms of hip hop over there, and who were the artists that were really making noise?
Oh, I don't know the exact timeline, but probably the biggest artist I can remember in my youth would have been Maestro. He was like the first big Canadian, like it was like something for us to hang our hat on. Like here's a Canadian cat doing it, and it kind of made us feel like what we were doing wasn't a waste of time. Not that we all, I mean, I guess in the back of our head we're thinking one day we're going to become hip hop stars, but I mean, it was good to see somebody doing it that wasn't American.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure it was all the same for you guys, right? Like seeing the cats come up before you, it's like it doesn't feel so foreign. It doesn't feel so out of reach. And then he brought on like Choclair and Cardinal Official, those guys, and then Mad Child and Prevail came with Rob the Viking, Swollen Members.
Swollen Members, yeah. They got really big,
right? Yeah, they got really big, man, and those guys were cool too. And that was my first time I actually I got to meet some like actual artists. When I was writing for the newspaper, I got to meet them a couple of times. Nicest guys, man, in the world too. They're super nice guys, as all Canadians are. Most Canadians.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed, man. Everyone's proper, always happy as well, man. It's good, man.
Then after that, you got Drake and you got The Weeknd and Classified. So we have some big guys, man. Like, I mean, arguably Drake may be the biggest hip hop artist in the world. Yeah, some people, right? Debatable.
Canadian Dad. We're here with something you might not never know nothing about. We got Canadian Dad in the building, man. This is gonna be too much jokes, man. There is a question. Shout out to I believe it's Black Einstein who had a question about Drake. What's the real reception of Drake in Canada? Like, if you, to be honest, your reaction to Canadian Dad's reaction to Drake's real reception in Canada, is he revered or is he like?
He's revered by, I think he's revered by Canadian women, and he's kind of, I mean, in the circles that I know, he's looked upon like Justin Bieber. He might as well be Justin Bieber in the hip hop scene. I mean, my favorite song from him is I can't even remember the name of it now. It's the one that he has Eminem on and Kanye and.
Oh yeah, that was right? What was it called? Something like that. It's one track. It was a kind of weird. I've forgotten what the tagline was, but yeah, I know which track you're on about. And Lil Wayne was on it as well. You said, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only track I've ever liked from him. Yeah. But hey, I mean, everyone has their own thing, right? I mean,
yeah, he kind of started off like underground, right? Like a kind of more boom bappy. From what is that correct? Or I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if you know or not, but
yeah, I mean, that was I remember seeing something with DJ Jazzy Jeff, and he said the worst thing Drake ever did was sign a record contract. Wow. I mean, Drake would argue that because I guess he's got more money than God at this moment. But and has I got to visit Drake's private suite at the Air Canada Centre. I guess Scotiabank place now. That's where the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Raptors play. He's got he's got his own suite and everything's gold and all that kind of shit.
Tasteful.
So I guess gold. So I guess it works for him. I guess, but because I mean, Jazzy Jeff was saying like Drake had the industry by the balls, right? Because nobody was doing it back then. I mean, nobody was putting out music and making the money that he was making, and I think it probably scared the record industry. They don't want people to understand that they don't need them. They can go and do their own thing.
It's very interesting. All right, shout out to
Yeah.
Black Einstein. Nice one, JM. They said the track is called Forever. All right, guys. Thanks for that, man. You know,
All the Drake fans.
yeah, all you Drake fans out there, undercover. Yeah, that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Anytime I don't like Twitter very much because I think it's a cesspool for the most part. But when I'm on there and if I ever see anybody complaining about the uh, the state of UK or a state of US hip hop, I always say I send them links. I listen to this. This is better than anything that's over here. Most people tell me to piss off, but the few people, hey, listen, I mean, I've heard so much music, man. It's been like almost 3 years that I've been doing this, and it's very difficult for me to say what my favorite, even to pick a top 10 favorite songs. It'd be impossible, right? But I often say you can't. A true hip hop fan can't listen to that KDK track with Remus and Ocean Wisdom, and then not say that that's a hard track. That's like that Remus's first verse on that is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So for people, right? So for people to hear that and be like, yeah, it's okay. No, you're full of shit. Because that's real hip hop. That's real rap, right? But I think unfortunately a lot of people were like me and closed off to that and be like, well, no, if it's not. I mean, even here in Canada, we have a little bit of that. Not so much now because we have some sitcoms that have become very popular, right? But for the longest time here, it was very much, if it isn't done by an American, then it's not worth our time. It's very much that way. Like, Canadian sitcoms didn't get watched. Canadian music didn't get listened to. A lot of people would even hide the fact that they're Canadian.
Yeah. We noticed that as well. I think that's kind of changed a little bit, right? Worldwide, like people are now more sort of showing they are from where they are. And there might be little bits of twang and all that here and there. You might, little style of America or whatever, but I guess they've, that's where their influence is coming from or whatnot. But yeah, that's another interesting thing as well. Is there like a thing about, or was there ever a thing about accents in Canada? Like in the UK, obviously because people are learning about the craft from America, they, quite a few of our old school lot decided to rap with sort of American accents and whatnot. And that kind of sort of in the sort of mid to late 90s started to become a proper thing. And it was like, look, you had to kind of, it's like, you can't do it anymore, bro. Did that ever happen in Canada? Was there a thing that?
Well, to be honest, like our accent's not that different. Like when I was in, before I headed to the UK in April, I worked with a guy who my coworker is from the UK, and he said the one thing you'll notice is the amount of different accents within the country. He said, he'd get on a train and go north to south, and he would hear 11 different accents before he got off the train, right? And it's not. I don't think it is prevalent here. You have some. The further east you get, you'll get the thicker accents. Like my entire family is from Nova Scotia, and immediately when you hear from somebody from Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, like you'll hear it, you'll know it 100%.
Can you do the accent in Nova Scotia?
No, you think I'd be able to, living with my mom my entire life? No, I can't do it. But yeah, it isn't as, you wouldn't know somebody from Ontario compared to British Columbia. Like they sound exactly the
Okay.
same, with maybe a couple of words here and there. But overall, like bringing up Swollen Members, for example, I had no idea that they were Canadian until much later, because they just didn't sound any different than American.
I guess, yeah, there is quite a connection, and yeah, it doesn't sound too much different. So that never really popped up then. That was never really a thing. Like, because I you know, in terms of shout out to Mr. Green, said R.I.P. Pat Stay. Someone like Pat Stay, you could kind of hear that he was Canadian more so than, say, like Drake, for instance.
Well, okay.
You know, for us, I guess, because you know, yeah, for us in a sense. But then again, you know, that even that is like you know, I say someone like Chauclair or Cardinal Official. You know, I don't think I knew they were Canadian straight away either. Yeah, but shout out to Bruce Willis, shout out to DJ Bluefoot. He's shouting out some of the Canadian rappers now. Maestro Freshwares, yeah, we mentioned him. Socrates, Mathematics,
Sauerkrauts.
Down to Earth. Socrates, not
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Socrates.
Yeah, man, nice one, JM. Shouted out a few as well. Yeah, it's very interesting, man.
You know what the crazy thing is? It's I don't know why our country is like this, and because of the UK artists who actually pretended to, I guess not pretended, but rapped in the American accent in order to fit in. It's weird how we get this sense that we're not as good, right? Like, I just don't know where that comes from. Like, it's kind of strange to me where we get that sense where, like, if we're not American, then we're not worthy. And I think maybe like Tom McDonald, for example, he doesn't hide the fact that he's Canadian, but he certainly doesn't wear a Canadian flag in his videos. He would swear he's from America. Right?
Well, yeah, Dan
everything he talks about is America.
Dan just mentioned it before the show. He's like, oh yeah, Tom McDonald, he's Canadian. I was like, is it? I didn't know. I thought he was American. And so yeah, there isn't a massive difference in the accent anyway.
No, it hadn't occurred to me until as much as I've listened to Tom McDonald's stuff, until I read through a list of Canadian rappers. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. And I guess like it's quite a melting pot as well, Canada, right? You've got a similar sort of West Indian influence as well as the American influence, and then you even sprinkle a bit of French in there. No, Scottish as well, isn't it? You got Scottish Canada,
Nova Scotia. I suppose,
Nova Scotia,
Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I've got my background's Scottish.
Oh, for real? Did you get to go back to the motherland when you were over here?
I did not, because we had a pretty strict schedule, because I wanted to see as many people as I could. So I went to Manchester. Big shout out to Jake. He was my buddy I met through the channel. He was my tour guide through it all.
Yeah.
He met him. He picked me up at the airport. We had like show me around Manchester a little, show me around Manchester a bit. Then we caught the Four Owls in Manchester.
Oh,
their concert. Then we headed down to Bristol. I got to hang out with Rez and the boys, and then headed down to London and took a train. In London, we took a train down, and I met up with Blade and went on his show.
Yeah.
So it was pretty tight, like trying to fit it all in. So my plan is to be back in April again. And bring the wife with me and make it around the High Focus 13th anniversary, the birthday party. I'm trying to make it all around, like make the trip around that and spend more time.
So it's kind of strange that like we now have like YouTube celebrities from YouTube visiting with a schedule of who they're visiting, and sort of like you're on tour as well, but you're on tour for a different reason, because you're meeting the people whose music you listen to, and
that's deep,
quite
man.
Interesting. You're doing your own tour.
Yeah. That's it.
It's funny too, because I was in London and I was walking through, I think it's the largest train station in London. Is it Victoria? Is that correct? Or I can't remember.
It's certainly one of the busiest, yeah. But yeah,
so I'm walking
biggest,
through.
maybe
I'm walking
King's
through
Cross.
that, and somebody stopped me and said, "Are you Canadian Dad?"
Wow.
And which was so cool, like a huge train
crazy.
station with hundreds of people passing.
That is crazy,
which was cool,
man. Yeah. That is deep, man. You know what I mean? That's probably the last thing you're expecting as well. Like, man, I'll just review UK hip hop, man. You know what I mean? And with it. That is crazy. It just goes to show, man. And I'll tell you what, it's the beauty of the scene as well. Is like, as much as it as like fractured as it is, as segregated as it is in a way, people are still thriving within what they're doing. You know, like talking about, say, 4 hours, or even Verb T. You know, he's on tour at the moment. If you lot can make it out there, make sure you get tickets, man. He's on tour promoting, you know, like performing a 10-year-old album. Or there's so many people doing bits and bobs, traveling here, there, and everywhere that, you know, hardly anyone knows because they might not be following. But, you know, then you're getting to see all of them live as well. It's crazy, man. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And when I was at the like when I was at each of the places, I mean, it was so cool to see. Like, I was already there seeing the Owls, right? And those guys were so cool. Jazz T, man, big shout out to Jazz T.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz T. Come on,
the dude is such a nice guy. But like, knowing that you see these guys, like Pitch 92 came by, made sure he took time.
Yeah.
Sparks made sure to come by. Just came by, but I missed him. He was only there for a couple of minutes. But guys making the effort just to come to say thank you and show their appreciation. Yeah, when I went to Bristol, like that kid came out, Wishmaster, Billy Wiz,
wow,
Rogue.
You got them all out.
Guys, yeah, up front, like sitting, like just to think about starting this back 2.5 years ago, and then thinking that I'm going to be in the UK, sitting in Rez's dining room, having dinner with his wife, and then him taking me to his studio, and then playing me songs, like unreleased songs from him and up front, right? And like that is so cool. And then of course, one of the guys I really wanted to meet, Ill Informed, he's a night owl, so apparently, so he called at like 10 o'clock and it's like, hey, I'm gonna come by. But it's like at that point we're about to head back, but so I didn't get to see him. But yeah, man, every single person I met was above and beyond anything I could have even imagined. And like, truthfully, it was so humbled by it. The welcoming attitude, and yeah, it was one of the best times of my life.
Yeah, man, it's because you make the effort, man. You've made an effort to actually say, like, nah, you know what? People need to understand where the quality is in this music, like what it is that you really should be, the reason why you should be listening to it. You know, like, there are a lot of fans everywhere, and you know, you got people that, for instance, man, you know, no diss to anybody, but the amount of times that I get, oh, bruv, you know what? You're one of my favorites, man. Yeah, man, from when I was young, da da da. And then the next day they follow you on Insta. It's like, yo, what? Like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just kind of weird because you're like, and that's how it is. But then you're going, you know, way further than people even think, and going like, look, I'm going to sit down and listen to this shit in front of you, and you're going to get my live reaction. You know, you're honest as well. There's stuff you might go into where you're like, all right, it sounds like they're talking about this. If they are, then that's deep because blah, 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 blah. But they might not be saying, you know what I mean? Which is all honest. Like, you're being honest about it. Like, you're really taking in the music. And boy, if everyone did that was into the music like that, you know, the scene will be way further than it is. But what we've got, you know, for instance, I know that throughout sort of, once the music started changing, you know, into the noughties and whatnot, mid-noughties, like over in America, the sort of underground hip-hop circuit, especially in New York, wasn't really getting as much play over there, like airplay. But over here, they were getting it because a lot of our DJs, you know, Excalibur, Sarah Love, so on and so forth, were on One Extra. They were on radio, like, so it's like a BBC Radio 1 thing. So then, bam, now you got a bunch of like New Yorkers now listening to UK stuff, and then they're hearing UK hip hop and that. But they weren't doing what Canadian Dad is doing. They were just going, oh, yo, this is all right, this is that. And then bam, you got a new style of that new wave of New York hip hop where it was like, oh, the people trendy here, like, bruv, there's a reason why that happened, you know?
I'm not even sure how many people in the UK are doing as good a job as Canadian Dad is doing.
Yeah, man.
Reviewing the UK.
It's crazy.
I've got a good idea, actually. I think when you come over in April again, just everybody who's a promoter, organise your nights for every night that Canadian Dad's here, and then you're guaranteed to actually get rappers at your night.
It's true, man.
They're coming out for.
You still got the DJing chops. We just get you out to DJ, man. Fuck it. Everyone's coming out. Yeah, open mic. Rare. Yo, shout to Mr. Green in the building. Big up to there's a few other cats that have jumped in as well, man. Shout to Gleam. Shout to Don Smithard. Yes, man. Good to see you lot up in here. Something you might not never know nothing about. And I wanted to ask, because it's come up in the comment section. Yeah, Mr. Green asked, who's your top 5 UK? Like, off top.
Man.
I mean, no pressure.
Don't feel away that's it, man. Like, that's
how you feel now. You know, tomorrow it might change, but right now, if you could go, all right, my top 5 would be.
I mean, I guess that's the difficult thing too, right? It's like, now if you're talking like a top 5, to me, it's like, it's hard because you got, if I'm talking about just lyricist or content or entertainment wise, it's all different for me. And plus too, it's difficult because, I mean, I've got this, like, you got like a generation of hip hop that I'm trying to all digest all at the same time, right? So I had that Throwback Thursday type of thing where I'll go back and I'll listen to a track that's 10 years old or 20 years old, but then I'm hearing a brand new track. Sorry.
So you're, I wondered about that. So that is actually, you've never heard the track before. This isn't like stuff you use. Yeah, I was wondering whether it was stuff that you used to listen to that now you were doing reactions to, but you've actually never even heard, because I saw you did Brain Tax and, you know, Delegates of Culture, I think it was, a couple older tracks. And I was like, oh, right. So that, yeah, okay. So that's a real reaction as well. Like,
yeah, that's one thing that I do is I'm you know, my reactions aren't practiced. I don't watch them a bunch of times and then take down notes and say, okay, well, I'm gonna say this about this bar or whatever. It's like, it's authentic. I put it on, I watch it. That's why it makes me laugh when I'll get comments, oh, you missed this bar. It's like, okay, yeah, but you probably heard, you know, you've heard the track a dozen times or whatever. This is my first time. So yeah, I mean, the only time I'll hear it, or I shouldn't say I'll hear a track twice. What will happen is I'll put on a song, and if I don't like it, I just stop filming, because I don't see the need to film a whole reaction channel about me saying, oh, this artist is weak, or because sometimes I know I'm not going to bring up this artist's name, but the first song that he sent me, I hated it. Hated it. And I felt bad because I was like, yeah, man, I'll check it out. And it's like, I hated it. But now, anytime he drops a track, I'm on it, because every single time it's like it's a different artist. It sounds completely different. And the second that he drops a track, I'm buying it, and it goes right on my phone. So, but no good would come from me putting on that other track and being like, oh, you know, that's kind of corny or whatever. I mean, I'm not about that. I'm about growing the love. Like, the more people, the way I look at it, man, is like, the more people who hear it, the more people there's a chance they're going to fall in love with it. Like when I was sitting in Sean Peng's kitchen having a tea with him, right? I mean, the stuff that he did with Creatures of Habit, You know, him and Ill Informed and Eric the Red. I mean, I love that stuff, man. That's like, to me, that's 90s pure boom bap type of music.
Yeah.
And to hear him basically say, we make enough money to pay for the record to be made, and then we maybe have enough to start saving towards the next record. And when you love something as much as I love that music, for me to hear that, it bugs me because I'm thinking, all you cats, man, should be making money hand over fist because you deserve to be making that, because you're making, in my mind, the best music in the world.
Wow.
So the more eyeballs that I can get on it is the better. So why put on a track that I don't like? Promote the tracks that I think are great, right? That's the whole idea. So
you're not lying, bruv. I always wondered, like back in the day, like reviews, it was like reviews in magazines and whatnot. And to me, it was like, okay, you don't like the track and whatnot. So then why are you talking about it? Why are you, what's the point in going, all right, yeah, so-and-so put out this track, but it's not good because blah, 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 blah. But then even if you're going to do that, at least at the end say, by the way, this is my opinion. You might feel different about it, because what they're doing is just putting this thing out there and then leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth anyway, regardless of whether they've heard it or not. And I always felt that was a bit unfair because everyone's got their own taste in music. So even if you are going to do that sort of review, at least put a disclaimer like, by the way, this is my opinion. Because people revered, back in the day, they were the gods. Like the people reviewing the music were who people would listen to. And it was like, man, that's just biased straight away,
Do you know what? I think for journalists, writing negative articles is a chance to use language to be, to try and be negative without actually just coming out and going, this is just shit. You've got to explain why you think it's shit. So I think a lot of them used to use it as a sort of, I'm going to show how intelligent I am and how I can use lots of long words to just basically say something negative, but not just say, didn't like this, next one.
Yeah.
But it became a bit of a thing of they'll have these long-winded reviews of things and then give it 1 star, and you think, well, there's quite a lot to say about it considering you didn't like it.
It's like when people share shit online, I don't like, oh, look at this, man, this is so shit. It's like, all right, thanks, man. Now I'm looking at something that's so shit. That's really pissed you off today. It's like, what the hell?
Well, and that's what I was going to say too. I haven't got a lot of negative comments, probably a handful of negative comments the whole time I've had the channel. But the fact that people go out of their way to say something shitty is, I just don't get it. I don't get the need to write this paragraph underneath one of my videos, saying something not nasty about me. You don't know who I am. You don't know anything about me.
Exactly.
Other than the fact that you don't like something I said, or you don't like this artist. The weird thing to me is when I'll react to a track, and 99.9% of the time, when I look at my statistics, it'll be 100% likes. And then every so often I'll get a video that will get 1 dislike. And I know that has nothing to do with me. It's probably because that person doesn't like that artist I reviewed. Or I've also had cases too where very rarely an artist will get angry that I haven't done their video yet.
Wow.
And I've had somebody say, and I'm honest, right? It's I'm one guy. I have a full-time job. I have a family. If I could do this full time, I would do this full time. I honestly would. You guys deserve that. But I can't. So, right now I've got over 600 videos waiting for me to get to. Every day, today alone, when I was waiting to come on the thing, I've added 6 more just from this afternoon from people sending me requests. That's not even counting the requests people send on YouTube saying, check out this video. So I'm honest and I say, listen, I get to do, on a good week, I get to do 5.
Yeah.
So if I get to do 5, and that doesn't count the idea like this week, for example, I did the new Flip Tricks track with Kashmir, and I did the new Verb T, right? So that's 2 tracks that weren't even on my list because it dropped this week or late last week. So, right, and then I saw Wishmaster drop a track today. So that'll be the next track that I do. So again, those 600 videos are waiting.
Wow,
right?
man.
And so some people don't like it to hear when I say, like, I've had people wait a year and a half, 2 years for me to get to their video. And that's just the reality of it. And you can't get pissed off. Like, I mean, I guess you can. I can't tell you can't, but the reality of it is what I've started to do now is just do a blind pick. When there's not a new drop, I just pick blindly from the list because I was trying to do some kind of order, but that's impossible. Like to do that now. Like if somebody gave me a track now, it would be 2 years before I got to it if I didn't.
Can't you just do like 3 a day for 7 days a week? What's wrong with you?
That's crazy.
And when I first started, like I was doing 2 or 3 a day, but that was when COVID was like complete lockdown, right? You weren't leaving your house, right? So what else are you going to do? So I could do that. I could film 4 or 5 videos a day, post them, and I was loving doing them. But now it's like I have to work out of the home. I got to go to the office 3 times a week. You know, and then it's summertime, so you got yard work to do. You want to fit in some golf. You want to do stuff with the family.
Have a life.
You know? Yeah. So before, when I was locked in, I could do. I had my work rate was incredible at the beginning, and I do hate it when there's weeks that I do 2 videos because of the schedule. I feel like I've let you guys down. Like I truly do, and I hate it. But I know life is life, man. And I know no one's sitting there in the UK saying that son of a bitch only did 2 videos.
Listen, what it's become is that if you're reviewing someone's video, it's a mark of you know, distinction.
They're doing something.
Yeah, so right. You shouldn't worry too much about it. I should think the fact that people are sending stuff to you is probably a good sign, isn't it?
Bro, 600 tracks, man. That is, so definitely. People should just be honoured if you review their, you know, if you do a reaction to their track. And be patient as well. All right, what kind of advice would you give people?
Sorry, can we just get back to the top 5? Did you have a top 5?
Yeah.
Damn,
that's true.
I tried to switch topics.
Yo, Mr. Green was on it, man. Mr. Green was not having it. He's like, all right, top 5, bro, top 5. All right, so how do you feel today? Your top 5, no pressure, UK.
Well, and I know whenever I answer this, people always bring up artists from way back. So there are going to be people who I miss because I haven't got deep into their catalog, right? But I think if I had to pick the top 5 today, you know, Chester has got to be on there. You know, right? Jest has got to be on there. Oh man.
It's really good. Is Mr. Green, is he happy though?
I wish I could follow my channel, right? That's the thing. I mean, for me, I'd have to have Verb T on there. He's every single time I hear him, he has something. I come away from the track with something like either I mentioned it in my latest review. It's like it seems like he either speaks to me on a day that I need to hear something. It always seems to be that way. And I walk away from it going, I could have handled that situation better, or I could be a better man if I do this. Like that's how I walk away from his music. Yeah, I love he's got that train of thought style that where, you know, things just pop up and you're like, like exactly what you said. You just start thinking of a situation that it reminds you of, you know, and it's like he's talking to you about that situation as well. Like, was it worth it? Did you need to do it? I don't know. You know, that kind of thing. You're like, wow. I know what you mean. Yeah. All right, so 100%. That's 3. We're getting back on. We're on you, man. We're on your case, bro. No pressure, man.
and in no particular order as well.
Right. You know, and that's the thing. Like I've heard so little of, and I know there's like some big names, right? Like I've heard so little from the so-called like goats, right? Like Rodney P. I think I've only done like 2 tracks with Rodney P. on it. So for me to say he's in my top 5, it just doesn't. That wouldn't be authentic for me to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, today, with the music I've listened to lately,
You got 2 more left in it.
Yeah. You guys are gonna make me do this.
Yeah, no, the fun thing is, you know what? Because, and that's why I say how you feel now. Because tomorrow you might be like, you know, I forgot about this, but it's just that for us, it's interesting because you're hearing it from the outside. You know what I mean? And you know, that's why.
I mean, like, and like like if I was going by what I've been listening to, like, I've been listening to a ton of Kashmir. Right? And I think, you know, Kashmir is one of those guys that've been around, and the dude is like a chameleon. Right? Like he can do any style.
The Iguana Man,
which like he's just amazing to me. Listened to a lot of Bad Bones, another one of those guys. It's been around a long time. And you know, I mean, there's 2 guys there that I can add to my top 5.
Yeah, man.
That's top 5.
And you know, like when like that kid's latest release with Ill Informed, I think for like a straight month I listened to nothing but that album because that from beginning to end, it's like every track is amazing. And the guests, the artists that he had on there were amazing. And that's the thing too with the producers, right? When I started listening to it, I thought there's nobody out there that can touch Leaf Dog.
Yeah.
Right. I thought he's the best producer. And then you get into it, and then you know, then you're hearing Pitch 90, you're hearing Pitch 92, you're hearing Billy Wiz, you're hearing, you know, Dirty Dykes on production, right? P Cannon, like you just keep going with these guys. And you get Ill Informed. Like, right? Like to me, if I had to pick any producer right now, it'd be Ill Informed. He'd be my top producer, right? But that's, again, for me today.
He goes in, man. He produced the last album for Smell It and Piff. He just produced that was it Roma Supreme?
Yeah.
The whole album, man.
Right. And that's like and that's kind of a thing for me too, is because I want to keep my reactions honest. Like I want to hear that album. Right? I want to be, now that I've heard a couple of tracks, I want to buy it and I want to get into it. But I'm always afraid that I'll do that, and then because it happened with the 4 Owls album, I thought they were done releasing videos, so I'm like, fine, I can finally listen to it, and then they drop another video. So I have to wait probably a month or so before I buy that Piff album because I want to hear it. Right?
Yeah.
So
man, that's pretty cool though, because you're keeping the flow going. You keep that still keeping, you know, the flame lit in terms of like, okay, this release is out now. You know, all the videos have dropped, all the promos been done, but then bam, now you're reacting to other tunes off the album, or you know, let's say the whole album or something like that. Right. All right, so shout out to Bluefoot. He's asked, what are your top 5 most listened to tunes?
Blue Moon from Jack Jetson is definitely on that. That was like my introduction to Jetson, and I think like that's a dude too that I think is just a magnificent lyricist. He probably doesn't get enough respect going. Probably Fentanyl from that kid in Ill Informed's album.
Yeah.
That the guys he has on that track is like each one of those guys just bring their own. I had never heard of Wyatt Earp until that track either. So that was my introduction to him, and he just killed it.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I have my phone here. Let me take a quick look, and I'll tell you what I've been listening to the most. I've been listening to G Cell from the new Kashmir album. Your track with Tremendous, that's on my top tier. That I played that for, like, as soon as I heard, I did the reaction, I filmed it, and I went right in the house and I said to Vanessa, "You got to hear this track, man. This track is cool." So I showed it right away.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, that
where it started from Verbs and Mr. Slips. My Life, My Time from Right to Speak. So that's I mean, all time it'd be hard to find that out, but I mean, like, I listened to a ton of 4 Owls, ton of Split Prophets, because that was kind of, and Ocean Wisdom. Like, these are all my kind of introductions to UK hip hop. So a lot of that got played back in the day. But what I do now is when I review a track, if it's available to buy, I'll buy it to show you, like, to show my support in that way as well. So I go to Apple or iTunes when I buy it, and put it right in I have a thing that I call UK Fire. I just drop into that. And that's what I keep building on.
Have you got much into the sort of grime stuff, the UK or the UK drill or any of that?
No, man. And, you know, like that, I think that kind of goes to the fact, like what I was saying about not really being like speaking to me, right? Because I tried it. There's been a few people that, I mean, you got to give Getz, you know, his flowers, man. Like, that dude is an animal. Like, that's I guess you got to put him in the top 5. Well, too late now, but I mean,
Getz is definitely up there, boy. He's
I mean, that dude's incredible. But, like, he's probably the deepest I've gone into grime. I've had a lot of people send me stuff. But it was very important to me, one, to stay true to you guys, because it's what I truly love. And secondly, to me, it's like, it's the same thing with American music, right? Like, if someone says to me, "Oh, you need to do the new I can't even, like, a Stormzy track," right? Well, there are already 10 people doing reactions to Stormzy doesn't need, not that you need my help, but Stormy doesn't need my help, right? He's got people promoting his music. He gets 1 million views on his video. He doesn't need some dude in Canada helping or talking about how much he loves the music. And to be honest, when I have tried it, it isn't for me. I mean, I've, you know, I not that there's anything wrong with it, but I was asked to do I think his name is H. Is that how you pronounce it?
H.
So I tried one of his tracks, and, you know, he's a talented dude, but he's there dressed in his designer clothing with his Ferrari or whatever it was, and a bunch of women, and talking about that lifestyle, and that's not what speaks to me. So I haven't gotten deep into it. I'm sure there is music there that I would enjoy. But for me, man, I say UK hip hop is the soundtrack to my life, and it truly is. I don't listen to anything else right now. And when I do try to listen to American hip hop, it's weird because it just doesn't hit anymore for me. Like, I'll listen to it and it's kind of like, it just doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it for me.
Wow, man. Wow. It's very interesting, man. You know, like, because we've got so many DJs. There's so many people behind the scenes that know it as well. They know that this music should really be a lot bigger than it is, but for some reason, what would you say? What kind of advice would you give us? As you know, we try to be as honest as we can on this show because it makes sense. You know what I mean? There are people. We've got a community listening, and it's like we all know it's cool to share ideas as open-minded as you can. But in terms of us, you know, artists over here, sort of doing a bit more than we could in terms of getting our music out there, what type of advice would you, are there things that you see where you're like, man, if only those guys did this, or, you know? certain ideas. You know, obviously you don't mention names if you don't, you know. But there must be things that you see.
I mean, it's hard for me because I am a marketing. I work in marketing and
oh, for real?
And creative. Yeah, so it's difficult for me because I look at what you guys do, and it's exactly what I would say to do, right? Like you make your music, you put it out, you share the crap out of it. You know, and it's unfortunate because I see, like, for example, when I was in London, it was so cool because we went to the hip hop chip shop, and I'm sitting there with Skirmish showed up. You had Barbarian, you had CFAX, CON Verse, Mix Swagger, Cosm, and then you had Philly show up.
That's funny, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this table, and it's like, here's a group of guys that all do the same thing, their own little, their own version of the same thing. And it was cool to see, like, it was like a generational thing, right? Because Barbarian he's got like 5 songs, right? And then you got Philly, who's sitting beside me, you know, who has a catalog, has a history in it, right? And it's just I look at it and I just think, like, it's sad to me that when I look at these so many talented artists, they just don't get the recognition that they deserve. And I think, to be honest, it's just that too many people just do what they're told, right? Like, in terms of, well, this is like, you go on TikTok, like, my daughters will listen to songs they heard on TikTok, right? That's because they're told that that's the cool song to listen to, right? Most people get their top 40 music, and my wife works out of the house, so she has the radio playing, just kind of as background music on top 40. And it's like, if I hear that friggin' Peaches song from Bieber one more time, I'm gonna rage out, right? But people are told this is the song you should be listening to. Right? The fact that there's certain artists who are winning awards and it doesn't even sound like they belong in the same genre, and meanwhile they're getting an award for the music that you guys make, right? And then they celebrate that artist getting that award, and to me that's, and I don't know how to fix that, right? Because we are that in society where we go to the movies we're told to go to, we listen to the music we're told to listen to, even if we hate it, we listen to it, and then we complain about it, but then we don't go looking for, not everybody, but as society as a whole, we just kind of fall into that line of thinking that if everyone says it's good, then it must be good. It's kind of like what I was saying before we started about Tim Hortons, right? It has been part of our heritage, and now it's no longer part of our heritage. It's American, owned by America, but it's so ingrained into us that you go to any Tim Hortons in Barrie, where I live right now, and there'll be a lineup of cars, 20 cars waiting to go through the drive-through to get a Tim Hortons at any time of day, from the second they open up to the second they close, even if they do close, right? And meanwhile, it's like, I only drink it if I have to. This is the last thing open. I'll drink it, right? So I just think that people get told that this is good music, this is the popular music, and people want to fit in. They don't want to be different. I also think too, a lot of the UK hip hop that I hear, there's actually something to it. Although, producers that are creating amazing beats and head bobbing beats, some of the best beats you'll ever hear, even if the lyrics are too deep, people don't want to hear it. Right? They don't want to walk away from it being, like I said about Verb T, walking away saying, man, I could have handled that differently, or I want to be a better man today, because he's true. I need to look in the mirror and say to myself, is that who you want to be? A lot of people don't want that. They just want to be entertained, and we live in that disposable 15-second whatever, we're like goldfish, right? Just on to the next thing. Entertain me, I guess, and that's why Hollywood. I don't want to get into it, but that's why Hollywood is the state it's in now too, where it's just that entertainment rather than actually making great films. It's all about just entertain somebody, or you lose their attention, I guess.
It's all about the money. It's all about getting that machine going and making sure people keep paying to come and see. And I guess that's the thing that we're not into. I guess, you know, I have this, like, I feel like there's definitely something happened with the music industry where it turned into, you know, it seemed like they prefer not to have, you know, quote unquote, like intelligent rappers, like people that really thought and made sense with what they were talking about and whatnot, because not only were they, you know, pushing themselves out in that way with the music and entertainment, but then also on the business side, of course, they're going to be on point with it. And that was probably a lot more trouble for the record labels. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just get the gangsters and the, you know what I mean, the booty shakers and, you know what I mean? These are, it's too much. Like, I feel like that happened because, like you're saying, there was this point where you're just like, right, this ain't even, this, you're putting, this is R&B. This ain't hip hop. And this is some different type of R&B. You know what I mean?
But bullshit.
Yeah. Bullshit, man. Yeah. But it just happened, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that possibly could have happened where, you know, the industry just switched and was like, all right, let's just deal with all of this because, you know, everything went that direction anyway.
Yeah, I mean, money is the number one thing, right? It all comes down to dollars and cents, and that's why, I mean, you hear it brought up quite a bit in lyrics, especially UK lyrics, where, I you know that I read into stuff. Sometimes I do it incorrectly, but I'll read into it, and I get the sense sometimes there is that feeling that, you know, there is that belief that if you do sign your name on that contract, that you have to change the way you look, you have to change what you're talking about, you have to fit into a box that they want you to fit into, because if they're not making money, you're not going to make money. And I mean, that's how they sell it, right? I mean, that's why Drake makes the music he makes and has a gold-plated private box at a stadium.
Well, there's a gold-plated private box.
Yeah,
right. That's why he's got it. That's why he's got it. You know, a $30 million mansion in Toronto. Right. He's not going to. I mean, he would have still been popular, but at that time, he was making money off his mixtapes and stuff that he was selling. But he wouldn't have a $30 million house unless he became Drake that we know today. And that's a character in my mind, how I feel about it. That's a character that he became to make money for his record contract, right? And I think that's always been something that I really appreciate too. And I mean, I wish that I, you know, that each one of you guys are millionaires, man. I truly do. But there is part of that blue collar work ethic and that makes me love it even more, right? But these are, like, I know they're not everybody, but there's quite a few cats, man, that, you know, that have to have a full-time job, and music is something that they do.
Yeah.
Even though they're amazing at it, they should be able to do it full-time, but they just can't. I mean, part of that is very, something about it is true, right? It's very authentic. How I feel anyway.
You're right, man. There is something to that as well. I think I'm not sure how it is over there, but say places like in France, there's much more of an infrastructure for the arts, and, you know, which is sort of government funded, which is, you know, obviously public funded, which is government, you know. So it goes around, and then there are a lot of events here, there, and everywhere, and obviously whoever's involved, you're capable of you know, redeeming some form of funding, like after you've done a certain amount of hours of work and all that. And so that just keeps the ball rolling. And obviously you're going to have, you know, they've got that law where I think they had it for years now, where at least sort of, is it 60 or 70%?
Certain percentage of music has to be
on air,
French on there,
has to be French. you know, do you have? Are there any laws like that out there, or is it pretty much the same where it's mainly American?
Yeah, we have. I think we have. I think they're called the CRTC. I think it is. That's what they're called. And it's like a certain amount of TV has to be Canadian. And I don't know too much about the rules, but I think it's, you know, it's got to be, whether it's created by a Canadian. Even our football league is the same way. It's you can have like 70% American players, but 30% has to be Canadian.
Oh wow!
So there are some rules like that. But the money here too is, it's not. There just isn't, like, it just isn't the money here either, because we're a huge country, but we only have 37 million people.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so we're second biggest country in the world, geography wise, but we have you look at America, they have 370 million people, right? So
you're a tenth of the population, and
yeah. So
not the same land.
There's that. There isn't as much money coming in to give to the arts and stuff. And they're very picky too, right? They gotta be.
Yeah.
They gotta be where they put their money.
Yeah, it makes
especially
sense.
these days with social media. You know, you hook your name on the wrong thing, and then shit can go sideways.
Yeah, like your prime minister again, blackface.
Trudeau. It's Trudeau.
Bro.
Yeah, man, my man, boy, it's madness over there, boy. But yeah, okay. So it's starting to make more sense now as well. What would you say is like, you know, if your friends ask you, why do you like UK hip hop? Of all things, why is it? What do you think has drawn you to it? Then after listening to that first 4Ls track, was it the accent? It took you, or you know, I'm understanding that obviously took you back to the sort of boom bap era as well.
Yeah, I mean, it reignited. Like, I honestly, when I say I felt like I was 13, like I honestly did feel like I was that kid looking at Kumo D for the first time. Like, it brought me right back, right? Where
Man.
it's like something that you loved. It's like you thought your dog ran away, right? And then all of a sudden, 30 years later, your dog came back and barked at the door, right? Like it was that to me, right? So something that I loved, that I kind of felt like I'd lost forever, came back.
Wow.
And everything, like from the production to the lyrics. Now it's funny because I go back, like I said, I'm a huge Digital Underground fan. Like, it's my favorite group of all time. And I was playing it the other day, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, these guys aren't saying anything, right? It was I can't remember what song it was, but it's like, this is just nonsense.
Sex packet.
But to me, it meant the world to me back then.
Yeah.
And so it's not that, but I guess what it is like, it's that it's bringing me back to that time, but then it's bringing me the meaningful lyrics. I mean, I know you cats don't always come with tracks that can be broken down for 45 minutes. Some of them are just about, you know, making a banger, and that's great too. Just the majority of the tracks that I do, there's something behind it, right? Even that latest track with Flip Tricks and Kashmir. I mean, that's a Pitch 92 did a hell of a job on production, and you could just listen to that and bob your head and think this track is fire. But when you actually listen to it, you know, listen to what they're talking about, and you know, getting your mind right, and you know, knowing that, you know, the words that you speak become your reality, right? If you're negative to yourself all the time, you're going to bring that negativity into your life, bring that shit outside into the world, right? That's something that speaks to me, and that's how I try to live my life. So to have something that you love kind of reflect back on you and be like, wow, this is deeper than just some cool music. You know, that's, you know, I mean, it's great too to hear Dirty Dyke sometimes just take a piss, right? That's that's fun too, right? Like, but I know he can get deep too. But you know, him talking about pork pies, or you know, like that. that's fun at the same time. So, and each one of those types of tracks have their own place, right? I have a whole I have a whole playlist of UK tracks that are all for working out at the gym, right? They have their place. And, tracks to play when I'm in the car and it's just me driving. I have these playlists, but they all speak to me in a different way.
Do you think that there could possibly be there's another question I wanted to ask, but possibly a scene grow out there in Canada for like UK hip hop?
I think if people gave it an opportunity, like what I would love to do would be to have enough money that I did a UK hip hop festival, because we have a place not too far from here called Burles Creek, and it's like an outdoor venue. They do a country western festival every year, and it's huge. Like people come from all over the world to come to this festival, and I would love that. And that's something that when I was on the train back from London, me and Jake were talking, and I said, I want to come back here, meaning UK, and I want to put on a festival, and I want all these guys to come. Like I would just love that, right? Just have everybody together in one place. And he loved that idea too. And he said that used to happen, and I think it does happen in somewhere over there.
No,
it's not in Ukraine, is it?
Oh, they're probably
Camp.
on about Hip Hop Camp, in that's in Netherlands,
Prague.
It's in Prague. It's in Prague. So
it was when it just outside Prague.
In my mind, I'd love to do that here, right? Have the money where I just get everybody here, because I honestly feel like if you give it an honest chance, there's no way you can. Like if you like, there's a difference between people who like, rap music, pop rap music, and then there is what you guys make. But like if you listen to, say, MF Doom, and you like MF Doom, there's no way you're going to listen to UK hip hop and be like, nah, that's not for me. Like if you listen to it, you can't say that, right? It's just a matter of time of just giving it the opportunity and the time that it deserves. And I just can't imagine anyone who does that and is a true fan of the genre not find it like mesmerizing for me.
I guess for some people, maybe they got to get past the accent. It's probably that for some people.
Do you think that in Canada, is it? Do you personally do you sort of feel more affinity with the UK the subjects in the UK stuff than American rap, or what is it really content wise? Is there something content wise that draws you to it, or is it a bit more relatable than US stuff? I don't know, for a Canadian, I mean, in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I did soon after I started the channel, I did.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of like pork pie, the Dirty Dyke talking about pork pies. Does that mean something to you that it wouldn't mean anything to an American, say? That sort
well, it
of
does
thing.
now. It does
right,
now.
Okay, but you don't do you have pork pies in Canada? You don't have
no,
pork
we don't.
pies? No, right,
No,
okay. Right. Yeah, so carry on what you're saying. Sorry, carry on.
It's the last time we ever talk about pork pies.
Right.
I mean, it means something to me now, because I came and I went to Greg's. Like the second we went to Greg's, like we're off the plane for like 10 minutes and we're at a Greg's, right?
Wow.
So
yeah,
it means something to me now. But soon after I started the channel, I did a search for Canadian underground artists, because I thought, you know what, maybe I haven't given them the attention that they deserve. But then I found a YouTube video, and it was the top 10 Canadian underground hip hop artists, and I watched it, and every single one of them they had guns in their videos. They're the stack of money to their ear, and I'm like, really? Like, this is where we are in 2022. So that was it, right? Like, and that's partially my fault. I could have dug deeper, but to me, that was like, if these are the top 10 guys, then I'm not interested. And I'm sure that, and even like Swollen Members, right? Like I loved Swollen Members when I was younger. Not too much younger. I guess it was late 90s, but the music that Mad Child puts out now, I just don't connect with it at all. And I've always, so I guess for me, I guess there is a little bit of more of that kind of made in America thing for the Americans that really do. They're very more nationalistic, I guess. Very pride about what they create. So there may be it'd be harder to break down that barricade, I guess. But to be honest, I mean, until the Queen died, there probably weren't too many people in Canada who knew we were still part of the monarchy. So anyway,
that's hilarious,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, like that's the truth, right? That this isn't.
You got that? Isn't it the Queen's face on the money, on the currency over there as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. So
hilarious.
She's all over our money.
Yeah,
she's all. Yeah.
Shout out to Bigger Man Locked In. Big up all the HFM crew. Yes, man. We're speaking to Canadian Dad right here on some shit you might not never know nothing about. That's right. We're after Watershed now, so I can swear I can say what the fuck I want right now. Roll call. Let's get the roll call in there. What you lot blazing on out there? Yeah, man. So was it hard to get past the accent for you at first? Do you think that was the sort of thing that put you off in the first place when your friend was like, yo, man, you need to hear some of this?
No, I think for me it was just at the beginning that I didn't want to hear it. I was just being a dick a little bit in terms of because I hated a lot of the music that was coming out. I just had given up on it. So that was my own fault, man. That was my own prejudice being like, you know what? All music today is shit. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was only hearing good music when I went searching for it, right? Like Run the Jewels is popular now or more popular now. But when I first started listening to Run the Jewels, like nobody had heard of them in here. Like I would ask somebody here about them and they had never heard of them. Now they've got a little bit of more popularity.
Yeah.
But you have to go searching for that shit. Otherwise it's not going to come. So for me, that's all I listened to probably 3-4 years was Run the Jewels. That was it.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't want to hear new music. So that's my fault. But when I started doing the channel, probably the first few months, I had difficulty. I got to hear certain artists, especially. I had a lot of trouble with. Actually, the first time I did Joe Byrne, I had no idea what.
Yeah.
To be honest, and now it's like I have no problem with it. Now I actually find listening to American hip hop, I find their accent to be. I think it's not troublesome. I just find myself tripping over their accent more than I trip over yours. So yeah, which is strange because I basically sound the same.
The slang, was the slang hard to get around as well, or was it pretty obvious what people were talking about?
Some stuff was obvious, but I every so often on my comments I would get told like this means this.
Yeah.
Like I would say I have no idea what that, and I would try to figure it out. One of the funny ones was I actually Googled it in the middle of a track. It was that kid. He called somebody a swamp donkey or something, or I can't remember what it was. But I looked it up and then I just started howling because I had never heard it before. That's probably not what he had said, but so some of them I don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know what a drilly rucksack was. I had no idea what that was.
A drilly rucksack.
Yeah, Ocean Wisdom did a song called Drilly Rucksack. Apparently that's something.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what drilly rucksack. I guess it's a rucksack when you're drilling or something. Like when you're on your
apparently it means something. But now, yeah, I mean I got most of them, I think. I say that, but you guys are probably embarrass me with some ones I don't know, but I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
for the most part.
That's
Pitman. Have you heard Pitman?
No.
Go back and look for Pitman. It's very niche UK hip hop from a few years back.
Shout out to Pitman, man. That was hilarious. That was a hilarious time, man, for sure. And so, had you heard of any Australian hip hop?
Yeah, I've done a little bit. I did Husky, Wombat, Chillin' It. Is that how you say it? Chillin' It. I've done him, but I was sent some older Australian rap that I haven't got to yet. But that was also too. Again, I guess for me, I've kind of gotten a little bit away from it because I do want to focus. I don't want to take away from you guys, because if I do an Australian track, that means I'm not doing a UK track that day.
Yeah, that should be a Patreon. You should only do those things for money. I think Australian, other colonies, you should stick to one colony at a time.
I agree.
There should be an Australian dad and a New Zealand dad and Fijian dad, Jamaican dad, Barbadian dad.
Right. Check it out, like
Ghanaian dad.
Check it out, Belgian hip hop. You know, nah, man.
You know, and I've had some like some guys from India send me their stuff. And you know what? To be completely honest, I listened to it and it was fire. The beat was amazing. They sounded great, but I had no idea what they were saying. So I said to them, like I appreciate it, but I can't do it, right? I've had people who offer to pay me to do it in order to get their video moved up.
Oh, wow. Serious?
Yeah. And I don't want to do that, right? Because I don't want to get to because that's another problem too. If I agree, if they're going to pay me and I agree to do it, and then I put it on and I don't like it, like, where is that going to put me? Right? Like, that's going to put me in a bad place.
Yeah,
you'll be richer and you'll have more time on your hands.
But I don't want. And that's the thing too. Is like I don't want to take away from anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like I just don't want to. I want to support. That's why how I end all my videos. Right. It's like it doesn't have to cost you a cent to support these guys. Like you know, go to Spotify. I know they're not the greatest way to do it, but if you can't afford to buy it, watch the YouTube video, stream it, do whatever you can, man. It doesn't have to cost you a cent. Just do whatever you can to support them. And that means like sharing stuff on social media, and you know, and even that bugs me when I see some artists who I love and they get no activity on social media, right? They don't get their stuff shared, and you know, you get a tweet that from a really big artist that I follow, and they get three likes on it, and that just blows my mind, right? And that, but if you share that and like it and share it, it all continues to, you know, bring that back to the top of the algorithm and stuff.
Yeah. There's, I mean, and I guess that's a side that we have to get around, because obviously the outlets aren't letting you promote your music the same way as you could before. You know, like everyone would just see it if you posted it, but now it's as soon as they know that it's something promoting, there's some form of exchange going on.
Because you've got to pay now to tweet, so
exactly.
Yeah, so they know when you're, or Facebook's definitely doing that.
Yeah. So it's a lot harder to kind of promote your music. So, but then we've got to work around that. You know, like if people know that, the more people know that, the more they'll be like, okay, bam, I'm gonna go to Spotify and just put this tune on repeat for like 2 hours or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm gonna, you know what I mean, share this or hashtag blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff, so we can get around that. But you know, it's easier said than done, I guess, in that sense.
And I think that's for the artists too. And I don't know, there is this sense. I mean, like I said, I write horror novels and stuff as well, and stories. And I think there is a little bit of that sense that when you're in especially for you guys being a smaller country and a smaller community, I think even if you try not to feel that way, there is a little bit of this idea that there's only so much pie to go around, right? And everyone feels like I need my slice before anyone else gets their slice.
Crabs in a bucket, man.
And I think you see that in every industry. But like we got like almost 8 billion people in the world, right? Like there's infinite amount of pie. If we get you guys out there and more eyeballs on you, then there's going to be lots of pie, man. Like
pie gets bigger. Pork pie.
Right.
There'll be pork pie for everyone.
The pork pie is Earth-sized pork pie, right? You just got, and you got to get that out of people have got to get that out of their head that if somebody else is eating, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not necessarily.
And the thing is, the beautiful thing is, like you painted the picture there. You know, like you heard one track and that introduced you to a whole world of this music, and that's what happens for everyone. But for some weird reason, people just don't see it. I'm glad you mentioned that because it definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like that, and it's felt like that for a long time. Do you know what I mean? But
so how does it go down in Canada as well? When with your channel, do you get many people in Canada watching it, sort of thing?
I think last time I checked, it was like 97% UK subscribers or viewers. And then the rest is mostly in Europe. Varies very small from Canada.
Really? We need an exchange program then. We need someone English dad just doing Canadian reviews. Start exchange programs. You could franchise this out to different countries. You could just find other Gen X men.
I would love that. I'd love to be able. I mean, and I think even I got to tell you, like even when I started the channel, I think it's that mentality. It pops into your head a little bit because there was another guy doing UK hip hop reactions, like underground hip hop, when I first started, and you get a little bit of that territorial stuff going, right? And you're thinking, oh, he did that track, and you're trying to get it out before he did it. And right, it's like, but then I had to get out of that mindset, and it's because once I was in it a couple weeks, I knew that like this is bigger than me. This is bigger than that dude. And I mean, there's a reason why I went to the UK, right? Reason why I spent, $5,000 to get in a plane and buy tickets and do hotel rooms. There's a reason why, I've got a 4 owls tattoo on my arm.
Wow.
Like my first tattoo at 48, right? Like this means something to me. Right?
Wow.
So
that's big, man. You might have to flash the tattoo before you leave just to make sure, you know what I mean, not lying, but I'm joking.
I got it, yeah. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, great. There we go. It's upside down, but it's their symbol. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I think it's that mindset, and that artist or that YouTuber doesn't do it as much as they used to. Have gone into the grime side, right? Yes, and that's that goes to. I'm kind of in the same. I guess predicament may be wrong, but I do one of your tracks, and I may get. There's certain artists that I break 1,000 views on, but for the most part, I get 200-300 views on a video, and it may take me 2 weeks to get there. But then I know, and my subscriber count is close to 4,000 now, and I've seen other people do it where they make the switch, and they go from having 3,000 subscribers to having 10,000 subscribers almost overnight, and their views go up. But it's not for the right. I don't mean the right music, but they're getting the views for the grime music, and not if they turn around and then do a UK hip hop track, they get 100 views on it because the new fans that they have from making that switch aren't interested in your music, which is very sad, if that's the case. But they just want to see, they want to see all the grime artists. They don't care about that. Yeah, man. So I'm kind of in there with you. Like I'm in that you know, the way that I felt like I was embraced by you guys when I came over, and the messages that I get, yeah, I feel like I am part of the community. Like I've been embraced, I've been welcomed into it.
100%.
So I'm right
Definitely,
there.
man.
I'm right there along with you. So
100%, man. Definitely,
Yeah.
man. Jeez, boy, putting that in. That's some work.
I'm saying what I said about the people putting on the shows for a week while Canadian Dad comes back. I'm serious. There should be a week of shows where it's basically featuring Canadian Dad.
Yeah.
We can have you on. We can have you on a throne at every single show, and people just come over, bring you drinks, pat your kids,
start reviewing the shows,
shake
boy.
hands. Yeah, reviewing the shows.
Review the shows. Yeah, that would be crazy, man.
Live reviews.
Yeah, but there is a lot of potential with what you're doing for sure, man. I think, as well as what you're saying, like even though you're getting those sort of numbers, it's the fact that it's there, and there are people that, you know, someone mentioned it. Yeah, Mr. Green said it. He said, I know when I watch these reaction videos, I'm looking to see if they see what I see. You get what I mean? So I guess it transcends into the numbers, like, and it makes sense. It's like you're hearing the track. Sometimes it might be something you've heard anyway. And you're like, oh, what does this guy think of this track then? That's probably happened with some of your videos where people have heard a UK hip hop track and they've gone, oh, Canadian that reacts to that. Okay, let me check out what he thinks. And then off of the back of that, like you're saying, you're keeping it positive as well. It's going to open the doors, man. It opens them to a new world. So yeah, and this is one of the beautiful things of still sort of being underground. It's like, I've been doing this for years, but there's always someone going, oh, I've just discovered your music. Oh, I just found you on YouTube. Oh, just, you know, and that's a beautiful feeling because, you know, you're still, like, what you're doing is still, you know, making waves across the hip hop community, man. So it's beautiful. It's very beautiful, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate that. And that's like when I, CFAX, for example, from Right to Speak and Last Select, like he says, his favorite part of a song, of a drop is seeing what I'm going to do, like my reaction to it, right?
Yeah.
I've seen in people's comments, someone will put in, like, say, Lunar Sea will drop a track, and then somebody will say in the comments, I can't wait to see Canadian Dad's reaction to this, right? And I love that. That's because to me, that helps build the audience for you guys, right? Because maybe someone who watches Lunar Sea has never heard of me, who then comes to my my channel, and then there you go. There's, I don't even know how many different artists I've reacted to, but I've got over 500 videos, so there's gonna be and seeing those two, where I once saw a tweet and it made me smile all day, was from an English guy that said, I can't believe that I have to get my UK, or I can't remember, something to the effect of, I can't believe we live in a world where I have to go online to find a middle-aged Canadian guy to tell me what all the good UK hip hop is, right? So then that's great, right? Because like I look at that and be like, okay, so if somebody who doesn't know me sees that, they're going to find a whole bunch of people on my channel that they may never have heard of before. And that's why I do it, right? Is like, I have some guys, I started doing a thing called Sweet 16 because there's so many people I feel like they should have eyeballs on them, but I can't do a reaction video for everybody. So if I have someone send me a video and they may have 50 views on it, or 100 views on it, but I think they're talented, in my opinion, they're talented, I want people to see them. So I'll put them in the Sweet 16. I'll play their first verse or their second verse, and I won't. There's no reaction to it. It's just me showcasing their verse.
Oh, that's a great idea,
right? And that's the least I can do. Like, that's because I can't do everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, and like I've had people, like I used to do a thing called We Got Next, which is the same thing. But like I've showcased so many artists who have been then, like people will say to me, thank you so much for showing me Sutters, right? Or Dan, or Dan Stays Peak, right? Like guys that they've never heard of before, and now they become fans of, and they buy their records, right? So to me, that's that's a bonus, man. Anytime I can get another set of eyeballs on one of you guys, that's the whole reason why I'm doing this. Because I mean, I'm not making any money off it, nor do I care to. I mean, I've had people say to me, you know, you should have a Patreon, or you should have, you know, do every month pay, or have people pay to go on a Zoom call with you, and you could do their like, I don't know, man. Like, I'll do that shit for free. Because like I said, man, my dream is for all you guys not to have to work and you just make music, because the more music you make, the more stuff I get to hear, right? So
yeah,
you know, and I don't want to take that. I mean, I get paid money to do my job. I don't need to be paid to do this. So
you could charge to do if people want just an individual, like they send you their thing and some money, and you just individually review it and only send them the video. Could definitely charge for that personal service.
But I think I can speak for a lot of MCs out there, a lot of producers as well. A lot of people creating the music that you've probably put a battery in our back. You know, you kind of given us a kick in the ass and gone like, you know what, this needs to be heard, and I need to hear more. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're hearing that, it's like, yo, it's true, man. Yeah, I need to finish. You know, you start thinking like that. So yeah, I really appreciate that, man. 100%.
It's funny because when I was talking to Leaf Dog at the 4 Hour concert, he goes, you don't understand, man. Anytime I'm feeling down about myself, me and BBA, we just throw on your reactions to our songs, and then we get like regenerated, you know,
rejuvenated. It's true, man.
Yeah, rejuvenated. Yeah,
it's true.
And
bro.
I just
to hear someone go like, you know, hold on, nah, I got to stop that. Hold on. He said, and then he said, and you're just like, wow, yeah, I want to write some more shit. So, you know, I know exactly what people are talking about, because that's the feeling you get, man. So yeah, all right, I'm telling you, on behalf of UK hip hop, we appreciate you, Canadian Dad.
I appreciate you guys.
Please don't stop, man. We'll keep it going as well. We'll make sure you got more shit to react to, man. You wrote what? You got 600 odd tracks to work through, but you know,
keep them coming, man. I don't care. Like, I have no plans on going anywhere. As long as people continue giving a shit what I have to say, then I'll continue doing it. I mean, the fact that I kind of, you know, I bought an MPC because, I mean, you guys inspired me, right? So, you know, it brought me back to that time in my life. And so it's like, you know, I bought an MPC, and, you know, it was Kashmir that said to me, you know, I've sent him music. I'm working with DJ Frenick, talking to CFAX. All these guys have said, you know, like, just do it. Like, you never know where it's going to take you. I was worried, like, it's like, you know, I'm an outsider in one way. So if I start making beats, is it going to make me feel like I'm overstepping? And it was Kashmir who said, no, like, just do it, man. Make your beats, put it out there. And I put them on my channel because I want to stay accountable. That's kind of something I try to do too. Like, if I'm going to do something, then even though they may be shitty, I'm going to put it out. People can hear it, but I want to continue growing. And my goal is by the end of the year, sometime in 2023, would be have one of you cats say, I want that beat, and I'm going to do something with it. So, I mean, that's my goal, right? So that's kind of how I set my mind. I want to stay that positive way, keep getting better. And so, yeah.
Yes, very important. Very important to add some, you know, production into it, because there is always room for new production, definitely.
Yeah.
From the outside, you know, coming from the outside, and you know, it's sort of that is also one of the things that people need a lot of, I think, to help inspire them forward, because there's only so many producers.
Yeah, what, as in so many you can work with, sort of thing? Or...
There seems to be there's a number of good producers, and then everyone's working with the good producers in the UK, and then, you know, they seem to be like working with everybody, and they're spread thin. So we need a bit of help from the colonies. I did notice your hip hop festival sounds like you want to colonize Canada again with the UK.
Oh, for real? What's it
Where it's
called?
like bringing people back over to Canada from the UK.
Yeah, true.
Like start,
That's a good point.
spreading it again.
That'd be sick though, for real.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. Colonial exchange.
Hey man, if I ever have the monetary ways of doing that, like, I guarantee you I'll make it happen. It's just a matter of getting the money.
Yeah, it'd be good.
That.
I think everyone should club in for your visit though next April. I think that's one thing that I would say that people should be trying to help fund, really.
Yeah,
hey man, you know what?
You're on a couple events.
You're like a sort of emissary. You're sort of taking something from the UK back to Canada and trying to sort of help spread it out. So you're sort of an ambassador in a way, I suppose, an ambassador in Canada.
I think taking it worldwide,
yeah, worldwide. Taking it worldwide, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know what? And I appreciate it. Actually, when I was talking to Blade, he suggested the same thing. Doing like a GoFundMe, and like I know it kind of sounds hokey, but seriously, man, like I would much rather people pay for a ticket to go to the show than it would be
if you're there. If you're there, they'll go.
They'll be on it.
You go to the show, and they'll come.
That's what I mean. Like I'd rather somebody, and if I'm not there, like I'd much rather somebody take that money and support you guys than to send me $5 to go to put towards my plane ticket, right? That's all I'm saying is like I've already started saving up. From the second that I got home, I started saving up for my next trip. I was actually going to come in September because I wanted to go to that Manchester show, that High Focus.
High Focus, yeah.
And then my soon-to-be wife had said to me, "Listen, it's 2 weeks before our wedding. The last time you went there, you got COVID. Do you think it's a good idea?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably not a good idea." So I couldn't go. But I've been saving up, man. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be there in April unless the world goes sideways again, which I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if there's no reason why I won't be there. Unless the whole scene revolts against me for some reason.
I very much doubt that, man.
Sure.
Well, you're always welcome here anyway.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'm sure there'll be some events on as well around that time.
We'll make sure. I'll make sure Theo's got something on or something.
Yeah, shout out to DJ 279. He's
make sure 279.
Yeah, he's got his flavor of the month is back on at the OT Islington. And he's going to have an open mic session as well there. So people need to start getting on down. Things are happening again. Trust that. I think what's happened is we've kind of come back round. There's always a cycle of like what the clubs want played there. And we've come back round to where they want a bit more hip hop stuff now. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. So yeah, man, I'm sure there'll be a lot going on when you come down in April, brother.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, man. It's been wicked chatting to you, man.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much, man. I had a lot of fun.
I hope you did, man. Yeah, we definitely got to do it again. Man, please keep doing what you're doing. Like I can see doors are opening for a lot of people. Like you said, man, you've got people listening in and saying, look, thank you for putting me on to so-and-so, like different artists. That's just going to keep on happening now. You know what I mean? So we really appreciate it, man, over here, I'm telling you. Because, if so many more people did this, like the sort of support that you're showing the UK scene, man, like it's so obvious that it'll go other places. We can only do as much as we can do, you know what I mean? But, it's a lot of love, I'm telling you, a lot of love from the UK scene to the Canadian dad, for sure. So we appreciate you, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys, man. I have nothing but love for you guys, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and do what I can. I mean, I've noticed on the channel, I've been getting more comments on older videos, which means there's new eyeballs on the channel, which is a good thing. So hopefully we keep growing. I usually don't say it, but I've been saying it recently. Like like and subscribe and share it, because that's the only way that YouTube will actually like promote my videos, and by promoting me, that you're helping the artists that you love. So
yeah, man.
Do what you can to get it out there, and yeah, the more people that see it, the more people will realize how great it is. So
exactly, man. We just posted the channel there, Canadian Dad Reacts, and that's on the YouTube. Make sure you lot subscribe. You know what I mean? Show a lot of love. It's and it's so important for the UK scene, man. So make sure you lot show as much love as you can. There's a lot of thumbs up, 100, some claps, fire emojis up in there. Shout to the common sensors locked in, man, and all the silent listeners as well, man. So your advice for artists, finally, to get their videos to you, what would you say would be the best way? And what kind of would you make sure? How do you make sure the quality is there so you don't have to waste your time?
The best way to do it is through Instagram, through DM. If you're not following me, or if I'm not following you, I still get them in my messages. And a YouTube, it has to be a YouTube link. I get a lot of Spotify playlists and stuff, but I mean, I kind of made it an early thing where it's like it's got to be a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be a video, but it has to be on YouTube, because otherwise I just open myself up to just madness. So has to be on YouTube one way or the other. And what I always do, I'll give it, if I haven't heard of an artist before, I'll give it the first minute. I'll react to it, and if I'm not feeling it, I just stop. But that doesn't mean I don't want people to stop sending me stuff. Like if your first time you don't get on, if your second time you don't get on, it doesn't mean you're not going to get on. It's just keep sending me stuff. And I mean, I've seen tremendous growth in artists that I've had on the channel. So I mean, and like I said, I pick at random now. So there's no, you can send me something tomorrow, and you may get on the channel before someone that sent me something 2 years ago. That's just how it works. Unfortunately, because I only get to do one a day. And like today, I didn't do one, right? And like I said, tomorrow I'll be doing most likely that Wishmaster track that dropped today. Right. So there again, that there's that list is going to have to wait again, and Lord knows what's going to drop on Friday. If anything drops on Friday and it's an artist that I adore, then I'm going to do it, right? Because that's the thing too, is this channel started off for me finding good music and
that you enjoy,
right? So that's the thing. I'm going to do it for me first, and then for me, it's kind of selfish for me, but at the same time, the more music that you guys make, it's great for me, because that means I got great music. So it's a little bit selfish that way, but yeah, man, just keep sending me stuff on Instagram. It never hurts to remind me sometimes, because I do have 600 tracks. Just to say to me, I don't want to be a pain in the ass, but if you had a chance to look at it, sometimes that helps, man, just to give me a reminder that it's there. And yeah, that's all I can say, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Keep making great music. The quality of music over there is just remarkable. Like I'm not blowing smoke up my ass. It is the best music on the planet. I don't even think that's debatable. So keep doing it. Keep making the music, man.
Jeez. Give it up, ladies and gents. Canadian Dad. That's it. Canadian Dad Reacts on Instagram as well as the YouTube. Make sure you lot hit him up and support, man, because boy, that's levels right there. That's levels, man. Thank you for coming through on the podcast, King. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Yes, man.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was some shit you might not never know nothing about. Canadian Dad Reacts, man. Boy, telling you, man. That kind of love there, that's next level. Do you know what I mean? Man's got the tattoo, like came all the way as well. And the fact that he got to meet people as well, that's beautiful, man. And it just shows how much, obviously there's a lot of love out there, but just shows how much we need to expand it even more. So a lot more people get to appreciate the music in the same way, man. You know, yeah, that's beautiful. Canadian dad right there, man. Shout out to the people that was locked in, all the common senses, man. You're more bigger, man. Nice one, JM. Blue Fliggy, Regantology. Jeez. Yes, man. I see you lot. Shout out to Mr. Green. Yeah. William Spaceboy. Oh, wait. So, Mass Detective, I see you changed his name, innit? Yeah, I see you somewhere, man. Where is it? Shout out to Robbie Love. Oh, big up all the crew that was locked in, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. People were going in as well. Definitely, man. You know what I mean? Look at the beauty of that, man. Look at the beauty of that. At first, it's like, yeah, I don't know about UK hip hop. Then next is like, you know what? All right, I'm going to listen to this shit. And then bam, from there, it's like, yo. And that, like, you know, I remember even that hitting me, like learning about the UK hip hop scene. I didn't really know there was all this. Bam, you go to Mudlums, you know, you go to Apricot Jam. Like there was all these different events. You're like, right, Scratch and all that was on. Like, yo, all these different artists. So it really is like a labyrinth, you know, of music that you're into as well. You're like, okay, there are more people doing this.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alan Stephen.
Really, he's like a sort of, it's like a sort of modern DJ thing.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
He's doing mixed, where he said about the Sweet 16 thing. He's sort of like a mixtape. You're like getting a preview of, you know, he's not doing any comments on it, but at least he's highlighting 16 tracks that, you know, one verse and a chorus of each one or something, and it's quickly cut together and you get to listen to it, you know, and he's just highlighting people's tracks without, you know, and then now he's saying he's moving on to making beats, you know, so he's got that sort of thing that he's got an ear for the music, and he's obviously, you know, feels it and feels what vibe people are looking for and all that. So it's good.
And it's the other side about the DJ thing is like this is what it used to be about, is the DJ would do a mixtape, or they'd be playing live, or they'd be doing a radio show and saying, this is dope, you should listen to this. This is sick, check out this. This is it. But now it's turned into the kids telling the DJ, I want to hear this. I want, you know, what do you lot want to hear? Like that kind of thing. That's how the DJ is going on now. So I switched it up. But yeah, it's sort of like he's transcended what the DJ used to be about in a way, and flipped it into like YouTube videos, you know. And it's really smart, man. Really smart idea, man. Shout out to DJ Lock in the building. Yeah. Shout out to Don Smitherd. You know what I mean? Shout out to Mark Garvey. Yeah. Yeah, man. That was a very interesting conversation right there. Big up Gleam, Black Einstein, all the people that were locked in, man. We appreciate the common senses each and every time. Yeah, there it is. What's that? Streetwise Spirituality UK. Yeah. That's
Mass Detective now.
Yeah, bam. So we know it now. Shout out to Padmatic. All the people that were locked in, man. Yo, that was Canadian Dad right there. Something you might never have known nothing about. Do you know what I mean? Showing there are different ways that you can support artists. There's so many different ways. And the beautiful thing is he was creative enough at a time when it felt like, wow, I ain't got nothing to do. Like, I want to do something. Bam, something like you come up with that, and like I can see that that's gonna take off. There's gonna be some next levels to what he's doing. You know, Yamor was talking about, it's interesting that he's popped up when it seems like there's a UK hip hop revival, and I think it's very true.
Tied in with David and Dawn's Nature of Reality, you know, things happen for a reason.
You never know. Might need to tune in for some more. You might not never know nothing about. But yo, we appreciate you, mother lovers. We gotta get up out of here. Do you know what I mean? We got work to do. Appreciate you, Dan DNA, for holding down the boards, keeping us.
Appreciate you, MysDiggi,
afloat in the submarine. Do you know what I mean? This is what this is. People wonder why we're always deep in the ocean.
I'm in a sub. That's why it's dark where I am, and then you're under the sea. So you're in the lookout dome.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Shout out to Blue Fliggy. Alexander Morrison, all you mother lovers, man. Yo, we'll be back next week, I believe, with Clint Richardson. So do your Googles on that. Do you know what I mean? And we'll be deep diving next week. If all goes well. Shout out to Vinny B for making it happen. And if it happens, yo, we'll be deep diving, man. Shout out to Robbie Love. He says, what's that? Beer and rap, peace and love, people. Yeah, CDR reminded me of a fair few artists I had slept on. Yep, you're definitely right, man. There's quite a few artists out there that don't need no more sleeping on, man. We got to wake up the town with this bitches and bitches. Wake up the town. All right, love you lot, man. Yo, you know how it goes. This is some shit you might not never know nothing about. My name is MysDiggi. That's Dan DNA. And guess what, mother lovers? We're out.